This video is edited by Nunmanji. He makes some pretty good content on his channel, so make sure you check that out. Also, if you like Madoka or you like this type of content, make sure you let me know in the comments below, and subscribe and hit the bell if you're a Madoka Magica fan. Alright, let's get into the video.
なんか一人で背負い込んでるって察してはいたけど、いつまで経っても私に相談してこねえ。ちった頼りにされてるって思ってたのにさ。あの年頃の子供はね、ある日いきなり大人になっちゃったりするものよ。親にとってはショックだろうけど、そういうもんか。信じてあげるしかないわね。今まどかちゃんに必要なのは気持ちを整理する時間だろうから、しばらくは待ってあげないと。
In a previous collaborative project I took part in with Craftsdwarf, we discussed the nature of love and burden within the universe of Madoka Magica. Both videos I recommend you watch for more understanding regarding what I will be addressing in this video. Madoka Magica is very much a story about the corruption of love, the worth of oneself, and the line between selfishness and selflessness. But all of these seem to tie into the one thing that holds them all together, the nature of maturity. Even in the spin-off series Magia Record, the idea that every single magical girl is just a naive child is put forth front and center. From all the mysteries that lead to the witches being centered around myths that hold childish activities, one of note being the legend of the Friendship Stairs, where girls would write the name of someone ending the relationship irreparably, something corrected in the series by having the friends be honest with each other and being willing to forgive. Even the main conflict of the show is based off of a rumor spread between those children, that magical girls will be saved of their burdens if they go to Kamehama City. The nature of Madoka Magica has always been that of innocent children with childish ideals being manipulated by those who are wiser, causing those children momentary gains that end in catastrophe and despair. But I think that before we delve further, we must address the nature of what exactly a magical girl is, not just in this universe but in the genre in general, because there is a vast misconception regarding Madoka being a deconstruction or a story of nihilism. To start with, many of the shows in the Mahou Shoujo genre tend to be stories of positivity, with the girls donning bright and vibrant outfits in order to fight foes that directly challenge aspects of their lives that they are otherwise naive in their understanding to. An example would be Heartcatch Precure, a series which has flowers be the center of its thematic structure, as the main character Hanasaki Sumomi, who is shy, demure, and afraid to express herself, donned the mantle of Cure Blossom to challenge foes who are the manifestations of people who struggle to open up about their true feelings, and in the process uses that power to carry over into her normal life where she slowly learns to come out of her shell, a flower that learns to blossom, if you will. Even in shows that carry similarities to the genre, though are not necessarily one of them, such as Revolutionary Girl Utena, have a young girl at its center to go through challenges that force them to evolve as people, eventually leaving behind their powers once they finally grow. Madoka Magica in this sense is no different. Every girl in this series has some level of naivete that leads them into the making of their wishes that become their powers as magical girls. Sayaka, in her inability to gather up the courage to express her feelings to the boy she loves, instead decided to heal him from afar, naively thinking that she's fine with just making him happy while neglecting her own feelings. She paid for that with her humanity and her life. Kyoko only saw that her father wanted help, but didn't realize that the struggle and the goal to bring others to his side was what he wanted, not simply being handed followers out of pity. It wasn't so much the number of people, but the accomplishment of getting through the struggle, something you can only understand after having put yourself through such trials and coming out of it more experienced, to become more mature. The inherent issue with magical girls in the world of Madoka is that they are used as a way to sidestep the struggle, to achieve something the easy way without having the understanding that there is always a price that one must pay, and it's up to the reasonable individual to realize that there is worth in the struggle, and the pain of combating yourself. In a way, making a wish to become a magical girl is sort of a freeze on one's maturity, shown perfectly in the transformation sequences of the Holy Quintet in the Magia Record game. We see glimpses of their possible adult selves until the complete transformation into their magical girl forms causes that possibility to disappear. There is a reason why incubators target young girls to collect the energy that they need. The emotions felt during youth are far more intense and, more importantly, uncontrolled, during middle school to high school. A mature individual is able to rein in these intense emotions because they have experience of managing them and the mistakes that come from letting them run loose. You cannot change without feeling pain, you cannot move forward without falling. And the worst thing to hear for a young girl who has yet to mature is that they are grown up despite their age. Madoka is called by many of the adults in the series to be a good girl, who had never made a mistake. And while it's commonly assumed that a mature individual is someone who doesn't make mistakes, it's arguably far more dangerous to be ignorant of the pain of failure. We see this in our real world. Children who grow up sheltered are often the most likely to end up rebelling and getting into drug abuse, toxic relationships, and other behaviors they otherwise never got the chance to be exposed to through seeing the world for what it is. Madoka, while not rebellious, had a head full of nothing but naive ideals that were ignorant to the truth. She was attracted to the proposed maturity of Tomoe Mami, who presented herself as a loving and just leader, failing to see the child who was forced to try to mature too fast for her own good by her unfortunate circumstances. Because while Mami certainly was more knowledgeable than Madoka, she was still quick to judge others' intentions and accuse them of the worst due to her inability to see the perspectives of others, making the assumption that Homura was merely a magical girl who wanted to remove the competition rather than the desire to save her loved one. But the naive child that Mami ultimately was had no other reason to believe otherwise, as the magical girl system was built to manipulate the emotions of these other naive children. A system that made Tomoe Mami believe she was fighting a righteous cause without questioning why she was doing the things she was doing, so quick to find a friend to share her burden with until it went to her head that she lost. Similarly, Kyoko and Sayaka were forced of their own volition to come up with their own ideals of what being a magical girl meant. Kyoko taking it to mean every girl for themselves as she had experienced the pain of trying to help others, and Sayaka took after the ideals of the naive Mami, a system that forced these girls who knew nothing and had no one older to talk about what to do except their fellow magical girls, a cycle of naivete that created more naivete, a cycle of witches and magical girls that created more witches and magical girls, a system that was only exposed through the actions of those who decided to take matters into their own hands and look beyond what was presented to them. To mature is to realize that what you are presented with might not be the full truth, and to ask questions that will further your understanding. Mami never once thought to question the system because the system worked perfectly with her naive ideals of justice. Kyoko took it as it was out of fear and pain of the mistake that she made, but Kaname Madoka and Akemi Homura were different. Homura had experienced pain and failure millions of times over, watching her friends die again and again, many times at her own hands. She was forced to make mistakes and question the words of the blatant liar that was Kyubei, and make no mistake, Kyubei is a liar, or rather someone who withholds the truth. His words about entropy merely lip service to the actual goals of the incubators, to collect energy for their own selfish gain, something exposed in an alternate timeline when Madoka turns into the strongest witch.
遅かれ早かれ結末は一緒だよ。彼女は最強の魔法少女として最大の敵を倒してしまったんだ。もちろんあとは最悪の魔女になるしかない。今のマドカならおそらく10日かそこいらでこの星を壊滅させてしまうんじゃないかな。まあ、あとは君たち人類の問題だ。僕らのエネルギー回収ノルマはおおむね達成できたしね。
But in Homura's defiance of the system and of Madoka's direct challenging and upheaval of it, the truth was revealed, and the world changed because of it. Yet, an inherent contradiction still remains. Because in order to destroy the system, they ended up relying on it once again, merely changing its rules. Madoka's wish to become God and take upon the burdens of every magical girl still required a wish to be made, thus the system of magical girl and witch was just replaced with magical girl and wraith. Homura turned the burden onto Kyubei, but still ultimately changed nothing. Her actions that she took allowed her to be honest with her feelings, but created a world where everything was an idealized version of what could have been. She made a mistake yet robbed everyone else of the consequences because peace should be fine for now in this world. A world that the one she made it for still rejected. These magical girls are still relying on that system regardless of these efforts. It's still a mistake, but that's the point. A mistake has to be made for one to grow. This is why readings of Madoka as a story of nihilism is as naive as the characters themselves. It's not that being a magical girl is a hopeless system that will only result in despair. It's that using the system as is a vehicle for these girls to make a mistake, a step in the direction of their growth. As told in both mine and Craftsdwarf videos, this series is about hope and love. Hope that you can change if one finds self-worth. Love that must be directed not towards others but also towards oneself. And both of these things are tied to that aspect of growing up. Madoka never made a mistake in her life and only perceived herself as a burden incapable of anything, but found a chance to change by becoming a magical girl. It's a mistake, but it's a step in the right direction. It's not the false maturity that she sees in Mami, who she idolized in her failure to see what true adulthood was like, which was reflected in her own mother, who gets wasted after work and complains about her boss yet still goes forward because she enjoys the pursuit of that challenge. Her mother, who tells her that she needs to make a mistake if she's ever to understand the feelings of others, and thus take a step in the direction of growth. A mistake that allows her to discover the truth behind the soul gems, the first step towards exposing the truth of the magical girl system, and to make a decision for a wish that wasn't just a cake. But a wish at all is still a way to avoid the struggle of conquering adversity, a sidestep to the burden that ironically creates an even greater one in its place. A wish that leads to magical girl powers that are relied upon to achieve a goal rather than the efforts of one person forced to make mistake after mistake. What's important to understand about most Mahou Shoujo series is that they don't just have the girls reach their maturity and change during their time as a magical girl. They become more mature after they abandon their powers and leave them behind. The magical girl power is a vehicle to bring them that change. As such, the story of Madoka is not one of nihilism and the stifling of growth, but rather of children being children and making mistakes so that one day they might learn what it's like to be adults. A road paved with mistakes and burn it. Thank you for watching another video by yours truly, WattheWut. Thank you to Nunmanji once again for editing this video. He's edited quite a few videos on this channel, so make sure you give him some love. I would like to thank my patrons, namely people like Flutterrod Butt, Flarbu, thanks Nitrorad, Mr. Cynical, and Rentspaid. If you want more information on videos that are coming out, you can always follow me on Twitter, check out my Discord, and if you don't want to donate to my Patreon, you can always donate to my coffee. Thank you guys for watching, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.